Just want to talk a little bit today, and guess I'll title this one "The Law." Well, you've heard of the law of diminishing returns. I think I'll title this one "The Law of Diminishing Democratic Returns." And before I get started, just want to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on when it finds you. And if you feel it in your heart to share it with some folks, feel free to do so. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Click the like button. That's about the only way this channel is going to get pushed up the algorithm, period. Because YouTube's definitely not going to recommend my channel to anybody anymore. They've made that very clear over the last 7 years. Exactly. The month of September 2017 is when everything started going downhill. But Frederick Douglass said, find out just what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found the exact measure of injustice and wrong which will be imposed upon them. And these will continue till they are resisted with either words or blows, or with both. Y'all all know Frederick Douglass. See, as black people, we keep dealing with the law of diminishing return. And see, the definition of diminishing returns is this. The law of diminishing return says that if you keep increasing one factor while keeping all other factors the same, you'll reach a point beyond which additional increases will result in a progressive decline in output. See, in other words, there's a point when adding more inputs will begin to hamper the production process. And so the dictionary goes on to say that unless other production factors are changed, the excessive increase of a single input will lead to a progressive decline in output. Now, in economic terms, it means that as investment in a particular area increases, the rate of profit from that investment after a certain point can't continue to increase if other variables remain constant. And as investment continues past that point, the rate of return begins to decrease. I mean, does that make sense? The law of diminishing return. And see, black people keep supporting Democrats, but get nothing in return for that support. But we keep pouring more and more of our efforts into the party. On top of that, these same black folks will encourage other black folks to support Democrats, thereby trying to increase the numbers or investment for a group of people into a group of people who return nothing for that support. We got the Voting Rights Act in 1965. Around 1970, 71 was when we first started getting our explosion of black Democratic politicians. And right around that time, not long thereafter, the Congressional Black Caucus was formed. And in its 50-year history, they've had 2 black Republicans. And one was, I can't think of the guy's name, but he was in the early days, and the last one was Allen West a few years ago. And they gave both of those guys hell the entire time, where both of them just finally decided to leave. Because your black Democrats don't want to see progress. They don't want to see black people make progress. In some kind of way, they've convinced us as a people that the Republicans are our problem. When was the last time a Republican won a congressional seat in your community? A council seat in your community? A school board seat in your community? A state representative seat in your community? A state senator seat in your community? Or a mayoral seat in your community. Yet, they keep telling us that Republicans are the problem. We've been voting for Democrats all of these years, and we have no return. The law of diminishing return. Now, let me point something out to you. The Asian culture complained of Asian hate during the COVID scare. Democrats gave something to Asians, and there was no committee or study needed. Just last year, Jewish people complained once again of anti-Semitism. Democrats gave something to Jews. No committee or study was needed. Democrats give to Latino communities because they say they haven't been represented well enough in politics. No committee or study was needed. Immigrants say they want to pursue the American dream. Democrats give to illegal immigrants. No committee or study is needed. Alphabet community says they feel threatened and discriminated against. Democrats give to the alphabet community. They've already gave them $3.1 billion so far this year, but no committee or study is needed. Pastors all over this country teach all of their congregations to stand with Israel. Democrats give to Israel. Well, both sides do that, but no committee or study is needed. President Zelensky of the Ukraine tells Jim Crow Joe Biden he needs billions more on top of the, was it 65 billion the United States has given already? Democrats give to Ukraine. No committee or study is needed. Biden and Harris proposed $10 billion for global democracy. No committee or study was needed. Kamala Harris supports giving immigrants health care and housing whether they are here legally or not. No committee or study is needed. If you look at a lot of her ads that they're running on TV right now, you know, they roasted her on that middle class. They say almost every time you ask her a question, I grew up in a middle class family. But in one of her ads, she's talking about building 3 million homes. Those 3 million homes ain't for you. It's for immigrants. There won't be a committee or study needed. $70 billion is earmarked for foreign aid this year alone under the Biden-Harris administration. No committee or study was needed. Now, you look at what it would cost to end homelessness in this country alone. I think that number is around 53 million, 53 billion. I don't remember which one it is. And I'm getting the numbers flip-flop, but what it would cost to end hunger in this country, I think, was 35 billion. It's these two numbers, but that's what it just whatever, either way, 35 and 53 billion for the hunger and homelessness. But we've given Israel $250 billion. No committee or study was needed. The Biden-Harris administration approved $63 billion for USAID, that's USAID, which is foreign assistance. No committee or study was needed. Blacks have been asking for restoration for decades and ain't got nothing. Well, I'm going to transition just for a moment here, and I'm going to just hit you with a verse from the Bible. In the last part of the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68, it says, the very last sentence, it says, no man will buy you. That doesn't mean you're for sale. See, people translate that to being slavery or prostitution, something like that. That means nobody on earth will ever be able to restore back to you or us what was taken. That means no man is coming to our aid. That means no political party is coming to our aid. That's why Booker T. Washington failed in that regard. That's why Malcolm X failed in that regard. That's why MLK failed in that regard. That's why Black Wall Street failed. Yet, Democrats play on our emotional instability, acting like they're going to do something for us, knowing all along they can keep playing us like a fiddle because we're going to support them no matter how many times they slap us across our face, slap us across the head, kick us in the rear end. It just doesn't make sense. I saw a white guy a couple of days ago saying that black people are selling out their race by not voting for Kamala. And see, that's laughable. I brought it in and showed it to my wife. And she said, well, what is he? Because he made it clear that he wasn't voting for Trump. But see, I'm going to say this again. I think I said it or alluded to it somewhat on the last video. Kamala Harris is not a part of Black America. I don't care how bad you try to make her part of us. She ain't part of us. She know nothing about our struggle. Nothing. Now they mad at Janet Jackson for saying, and then her publicist come out and apologize. Janet said, I didn't approve that apology. And then D.L. Hughley got something to say. I mean, he need to sit down and shut up somewhere. I mean, he ain't been relevant ever. But if we really want to get biblical, race is a European construct. Most all of us are identified some kind of way by a tribe, not a race. But see, Europeans created race in order to divide the people. And you got to figure out which Europeans I'm talking about. It's very simple. If you've been listening to me any amount of time, or you've been listening to some other folks any amount of time, it ain't hard to figure out who it is. I was, what's the day? Today's Saturday. I was just talking to a good buddy late last night and, helping him understand some things. And, he just asked some questions and I was just answering his questions. And we pretty much late into the night, basically had some Bible study and just helping him understand biblical identity, true identity versus manufactured and stolen identity, and helping them understand communism and how communism and the civil rights bill was all manufactured as one thing in order to basically use race to tear down America to get other people in charge. Well, they got in charge anyway. That kind of went full-fledged tyranny right after they unalived JFK. So, but I don't even know how I got off on that. But Europeans created race in order to divide the people. It is the law of diminishing returns. See, I don't stand with Trump. I have friends that do. I don't stand with Kamala. I don't have no friends that stand with her. I got some family members that stand with her. But, when I ain't got none of my friends, they don't want to talk to people that, gonna vote for her. They don't talk to me and my wife. No way. People that vote for Democrats don't talk to me and my wife. No way. And it's like I've always said, anytime hate has been spewed toward me in any shape, form, or fashion when it comes to politics, it's always been from the people that vote for Democrats. It has never been from somebody that vote Republican, even though both sides know where I stand. Everybody that votes Republican that me and my wife know, they still love us. Now, I'm not talking about family members right now. I'm talking about so-called friends. Our friends that vote Republican love us. Our so-called friends that vote for Democrats don't want to talk to us. And like I said, I went to a meeting, all Democrat meeting, December 2017. Former fire chief, DNC head of the Houston area, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce vice president, former Houston fire chief, and several others. And I just could not believe the amount of hate that was spewed in that meeting. All Democrats. I've been in many meetings with Democrats. I've been in many meetings with Republicans. I've been in many meetings with nonpartisan groups. And the only group that has ever spewed hate toward anybody in any meeting I've ever been in has always been Democrats. Always. It ain't failed yet. Like a guy that went to the same high school with me, he said, let's not let this election break up our friendships and families and all that for people who don't even care about us. And I responded to him and I said, look here, you need to tell the people that vote just like you do. Don't let this stuff break. I say, because I've never had an issue with who people vote for. I said, all the fragile relationship problems come from black folks who vote Democrat and find out other black folks ain't vote for Democrats. I had a family member come to my house years ago when I was still voting, and she heard that I voted straight Republican, and she came over here to read me the riot act in my house. Well, that was the last time she did that. We ain't talked about politics since. You think I care? I didn't go to her house to tell her about voting for Republicans. Voting for Democrats. Because I don't care. But she gonna come because she think she my elder, and she gonna come check me. Well, if you talk to my sisters, I used to run around, and when somebody say something to me and I respond back, I used to do a air check. And my sister say, "Oh, he done checked him." And when I check somebody, that means the conversation's over. I don't do that no more though. But because I don't even deal with it. But see, I don't stand with Democrats. I don't stand with Republicans. What you got masquerading as Republicans right now anyway, they ain't nothing but Democrat light. And if you really want to get down to it, you got Democrats who are communists and you got Republicans who are communist light. So I don't stand with Democrats. I don't stand with Republicans. I don't stand with these fake pastors. Stand with Israel. See, we keep arguing over who's going to oppress us the most. Yet the national debt sits at close to $40 trillion reported. You heard me say reported, right? Because it's actually close to 200 trillion. But they ain't going to ever tell you that. See, we keep playing musical chairs with politicians, but only at the local level and only at the presidential level. Because your congressional and Senate seats never change. 87% of incumbents always get reelected. How does that happen? Y'all want to sit in and talk about term limits, put it on paper. Put it on paper. You can put it on paper when you go into the booth and vote them out of there. That's how you put it on paper. You ain't got to wait for Congress and the Senate to act. That's what they banking on. You think they're going to put something in the Constitution that's going to limit their time in office? They're not going to cut their own throats. They're not going to put nothing in the Constitution that says we got to get out of office after 2 terms. It's a certain amount of time they have to be in office before they get full pension. You think they're going to put themselves out of work, which ain't supposed to be work? It's supposed to be service. Just like pastors ain't supposed to be no job. Pastors supposed to be service. Your politicians ain't supposed to be paid no yearly salary. They're supposed to receive a stipend for the time they have to go up to D.C. and come back home. That's all your politicians at the congressional and Senate levels are supposed to be receiving. Your president is the only one that's supposed to be paid. Your city council and mayor is not even supposed to be paid. They're supposed to receive stipends. So how did they start getting yearly salaries? So you think they're going to vote themselves out of yearly salaries? Vote themselves out of all the perks? Vote them out of all the lobbying dollars? They're never supposed to get yearly salary. Just like your pastor was never supposed to get a yearly salary. But see, we keep playing musical chairs, with your local elections, because they do have term limits. You keep playing musical chairs with the president, but the economy keeps getting worse. The next batch of politicians, the 13% that do get elected, do worse than the last. Politicians getting richer, but the people keep getting poor. 89% of blacks support Democratic candidates now. That's still higher than everybody else. 70% of Jews support Democratic candidates. 60% of Latinos support Democratic candidates. 58% of Asians support Democratic candidates. While majority of the whites, 63% of whites, favor Republicans. See, now there's one view that holds that the Democratic Party, though more liberal than the Republican Party, has been half-hearted in its efforts to pursue racial equality. And there's a couple, Stephen and Abigail Thurnstrom, and they showed that black economic gains were more pronounced in a period before the initiation of the Democrats' racially liberal policy in the 1960s than after its implementation. Because, see, the civil rights policies, the Great Society policies, actually set us backwards. We were doing much better before that stuff happened. But they won't ever tell you that because they keep us focused on the Civil Rights Act and then the Voting Rights Act, which were initially Eisenhower's bills in 1957 and 1960 that the Democrats voted against. And Dwight Eisenhower had the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act in one bill. Adam Clayton Powell said Eisenhower did the best thing for us since Reconstruction. But black people in the NAACP, Roy Wilkins and all of them said, that was crumbs on the table. But Roy Wilkins never said that Congress and the Senate at the time was majority Democrat control. Eisenhower put it out there, and Democrat voted against it. But Roy Wilkins and the NAACP started leading people to support Democrats. Ain't that amazing? See, I'm just all over the place right now. But Asian Americans and Latinos tend to support Democrats. I mentioned those numbers. But they do it in far less numbers than we do as a people. And see, to the extent that both political parties seek specific policy to reward certain groups, one might expect us as people to experience greater benefits based on us and our unwavering support as compared to every other minority group. And as I mentioned earlier, these groups reap way more benefits than we do. Yet we continue to vote for the party who does more for the people who vote for them less. The Asian American culture probably receives more favor of the three groups because their economic status is considered more closely to the economics of white America. And regardless of which party is in charge, practically all of their policies reward white Americans more than anyone else. That's the way they set it up when they came here. Criminals came here, stole the Constitution from the Iroquois nation, created the United States Constitution, and then exempted everybody but white people from participating in the Constitution, the United States Constitution. Do I think the Constitution is good? I do. But we do need to understand what the Constitution was at the time it was written. So all the policies basically reward white Americans before anybody else. Because when they were over in Europe, a lot of them were criminals. A lot of them were in prison. They were on the lower levels of society. So they came over here to lord over other people. Columbus didn't get lost. Columbus knew what he was doing when he left. Why you think that they decided to send all them Europeans over here out of the prisons? They wanted the resources. They wanted the land. I told you in a prior video how the king let them divide up land on that eastern seaboard. See, with white Americans, you know, benefiting more than anybody else, and say what you want to say if you're white. You might not be making the multi-millions and multi-billion dollars as the CEOs and other executives at these big corporations, but you get favor when it comes to job promotions of other people. Ask me how I know. I worked harder than a whole bunch of them. I trained a whole bunch of them. I would go and work 5, 6 in the morning and work to 10, 11 at night while they sitting there going in at 8, getting off at 5. I'm training them. They going back to their places, working 8 to 5. I'm still working 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, getting off at 11 at night. And I had the higher ups. Didn't matter if they were Hispanic or white. Tell me I wasn't working hard enough. Ever. Then when I started talking about quitting, then they all, well, you know, well, what's going on? Why you want to quit? Because you're favoring a certain group of people. See, in one situation, I was caught up and I was the first one that quit. I was the first black that quit because the rest of them were just letting them constantly slap them around. And they bring in a dude from the corporate office to do an exit interview. All the people that had quit before in the state of Texas, nobody had ever had an exit interview. But I decided to quit. Now they want to do a 3-hour exit interview with me. But let me get back to my topic. I'm just saying the system was geared with the original Constitution to favor white people. I know what Frederick Douglass said about the Constitution and all that, but it was put in place to benefit white folks. You see, when the Democrats and the Whig Party were in charge and slavery was prevalent, you know, they put that in place for white people because there wasn't a Republican Party then. Republican Party didn't come to over 100 years later after they fashioned the Constitution. And then, well, it wasn't exactly 100, you know, right under 100, but roughly 100 years later, the organic Constitution got changed to a business corporate Constitution. Nobody ever told you that, did they? But anyway, the Whig Party and Democrats were the ones in charge, and slavery was prevalent. And see, the system favored whites and a small handful of blacks who also owned slaves. And, you know, I did the video. That was the very first video on this channel, and you can see some of the hate that's spewed on there. You know, like I said, I deleted a whole thread of that, about 300 comments or whatever it was. See, there's some out there that believe it. If Democrats hold power for a longer period, the economic status of black folks is going to improve. Oh, really? Have any of y'all ever studied history at all? The great majority of your slaveholders were Democrats. I know. That was so long ago. That's what they tell us in order to minimize what the whites did to our ancestors. And like I said, read the book, Who Brought the Slaves to America? Get you Tony Morton's book, former professor, and see. Go start studying the slave, how the ships went into South America down there, into Brazil and all the places. See who owned the ships. Then you figure out which white folks it was, most of them. See how they used British passports to hide their identity. But you know, I know that was so long ago. That's, you know, I'm saying, people want you to never forget what supposedly happened to them during World War II. But anyway, let's forget about slavery for a moment, right quick. Now let's look at all the cities that have been Democrat controlled for the last 40, 50, 60 years. A great majority of all of these areas are normally heavily populated with black and brown people because the Asian community doesn't want to live around either culture. especially the Asian Indian culture. Everybody's racist or more racist than white people. But they'll never tell you that. They tell you about Gandhi, the peacemaker. Gandhi hated black people. I've talked to an Asian Indian woman. She said North Indians hate South Indians because they too dark. But see, that's amazing because during the days of Marco Polo said during his travels when he went into India, Asian Indians would coat the bodies of their babies with sesame oil to make their skin darker because they felt like God was dark. They felt like God was black. That's from Marco Polo's travels. But the world society started telling us white was more attractive. And I remember Tom Skinner, y'all heard me mention Tom Skinner before, and Tom Skinner said he don't know who, and he was talking to a predominantly white audience. He said, I don't know who told y'all white folks that y'all so ugly attractive that we just gotta swoon all over ourselves for y'all. Now see, the Asian Indian culture don't want to live around nobody. And, you know, I'm not talking about all. I'd say nothing is ever 100%, but you talk to any one of them that's going to be honest with you and see what they tell you. Any of them. They'll live around people from Ethiopia. They'll live around blacks from other countries, but they don't want nothing to do with black Americans. Just like most of society. When was the last time Chicago had a Republican mayor? I mean, every city I ask you about, I already know the answer. When was the last time Houston has had a Republican mayor? You know, I live in Houston, so I know it's been over 40 years for Houston. When was the last time Baltimore had a Republican mayor? When was the last time New Orleans had a Republican mayor? Now, there are many more of your major cities in the same boat with large black populations, and yet black people's position and economic status has not improved. So the fact that some believe Democrats holding power longer would make black people fare better is a flat out lie. But see, these folks believe that if Democrats remained in power and Republicans were kept out of office, blacks would close the wealth gap. Really? How much ground did blacks make up while Obama was in office? None. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned before, blacks' economic status actually dropped back down to the levels of the 1940s during his second term. How much ground did blacks gain economically over the last 3.5 years? 0. We actually got worse. Saying we're doing better under Democrats is a flat out lie. Stop lying to yourself. Admit that you keep voting for Democrats and it doesn't work for you. Yet, we keep voting for people who are not working on our behalf. See, they pay us lip service every election cycle to keep us on the hook until the next election cycle. It's kind of like they take that carrot. I don't know if you've ever seen the image. They take a carrot and they put it on a string and tie it where it's sitting right in front of the donkey. And it hangs in front of the donkey's face, so the donkey keeps walking toward the carrot, trying to get the carrot. And every now and then, the person walking the donkey will stop him and put the carrot close to the donkey's mouth so he can get a nibble. And then he keeps that donkey working because that donkey keeps looking for the nibble. That's what Democrats are doing to black folks. They keep us on the hook until the next election cycle. If they're in charge, well, we're going to form a committee. If they're not in charge, Republicans block everything we do. Next thing you know, another election cycle, another election and popped up on you. If you question them as to why they didn't get something done, well, you know, this happened. This was the reason it happened. You know, but if you re-elect us, we'll make sure to do something again. We'll make sure to do something for you this time. But we need more time to get something done for you. Even though it never takes more time to get nothing done for nobody else. They always need time to do something for us. But we always run down like little bootlickers and punch the ballot for it. I remember years ago I went to vote. And black lady sitting outside the polling place, and it was a local election. We got 3 black people in our area, and we need to make sure we support them. And I thank you for telling me who not to vote for, because I knew they were all Democrats. I don't have to go outside my neighborhood, not my community. I don't have to go outside my neighborhood. I don't have to go outside my 5 square block radius of my house to see that Democrats ain't done nothing beneficial for my neighborhood. Period. Period. But you want to sit there and tell me we got to keep voting for them? I just had the lady come, a few weeks ago. It's the most important election of our time. I said, no, it ain't. I said, we had every election. I said, no, nothing improved for us, none time. I said, so stop walking around. I said, stop walking around telling people that stuff. I said, stop repeating that garbage that they tell you to say. This ain't important. I said, it's important when we get somebody that's going to do something for us. And I said, I ain't trying to vote for her because she supposed to look like me. I said, she don't look nothing like me. She ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing. I said, and we talked a long time before she had to get on down the road. But I said, me and her ain't got nothing in common. You and her ain't got nothing in common. And I said, you want to go vote for her because she's supposed to be a black woman. And, she took it in stride, because they, when they're out there doing that, they ain't got nobody out there, especially in our neighborhoods, talking to them about that stuff. Nobody. Come on, black folks. You got to admit that what you have been doing for the last 60 years ain't worked yet. It didn't work for our parents. It didn't work for us. It ain't working for our children. It didn't work for our grandparents. It didn't work for our great-grandparents. Isn't it amazing after Reconstruction how much wealth and economics we were building, but we were voting Republican? Too many of us started getting economics. Too many of us started getting wealth. Too many of us started building communities all around this country. And then they formed the NAACP. Come on, black folks, y'all got to wake up. Then the founders of the NAACP told black folks, okay, first thing y'all need to do is start trying to get jobs in white corporations. Because there's more prestige in white corporations than y'all starting from the ground up. Marcus Garvey said that's our biggest problem. We want to go into something established. We don't want to build nothing. I was just telling my wife the other day, we were riding somewhere, and I was telling her, I said, the problem with us, I said, is we want to complain about gentrification. I said, but we want to run behind people, and we want to go to established communities with other people who make more than us, because that's the way the system is made. I said, we overextended ourselves to follow other people. They're making more than us, so they banking part of their income or wages so they can eventually come back in and buy the land and houses for cheap that we left because we didn't want it, because it was going to take energy, time, effort, and money to rebuild it. So we want to go where it's already established, and we can stay in the community that we call our own and build our own meccas. But no, we got to follow them other people everywhere they go. They keep going out because they don't want to be around you, Negroes. Now you can't afford to come back into the properties you left, because now they done put where the property, they might have bought the property at auction for $25,000, $30,000 because y'all don't even pay the couple of $1,000s a year in taxes on the land. So they done bought the land and they demolished the house for, under $100,000. I guarantee you that. Then they come put on the land new value, $500,000, $600,000. In my wife's family, grandma had a house, and most of y'all, if you're in Houston area, you know what Fifth Ward is. My wife's oldest brother got the house when grandma died. She died in 2002, I believe, 2002, 2003. She was 102 years old. And my wife's oldest brother got the house. Stayed there for a few years. Oh, this hurts me every time I think about it. Oh, it hurts. Oh, it hurts so bad. He sold a house for less than $150,000. The company he sold it to demolished the house. And then because of the location it is, it's literally down the street from downtown Houston. All the shops, Toyota Center, soccer stadium, Minute Maid Park. As a matter of fact, you get to Minute Maid Park before you get to everything else. You got the Hobby Center, you got Jones Hall, you got all the stuff downtown. That's just, you could basically ride your bicycle to downtown from where her house was. So, what they want now is access. See, all the black communities were pretty much in a city. And the city's got all of the amenities that they've made look good now. All the glamour and glitter and everything. Oh, my brother-in-law sold a house for under $150,000. I think it might even been under $125,000. They demoed the house because my wife's grandmother had her house, and then she had 3 rent houses, 1-bedroom rent houses behind the house from when my wife said her grandma and granddaddy lived. That land only right now has an appraisal value of $1.3 million. Oh, that hurts me even repeating that. Oh, that hurts me. So, and I'm going to tell you what your council people, your black council Negroes do. Them handkerchief head Negroes. Them boondock Uncle Ruckus Negroes. Them Sambo Negroes that sit in your city council with your mayor. All this stuff started improving in the black community because they improving it for white folks. They improving it for Asian folks. They ain't improving it for black folks. Then these handkerchief head Negroes say, we doing this for y'all. Negroes, y'all ain't done nothing for us as long as we've been sitting there. We ain't got in my neighborhood, we got 2 grocery stores. One of them I won't even go in. I don't even feel safe going in. So I'm definitely not going to send my wife there. That whole strip up there where that store is, I ain't getting out going in nowhere. But your black Democrats, anytime something improves, notice who it's improving for. It ain't improving for black folks. They keep us on the hook with a little piece of bait, like they're going fishing until the next election cycle. Now, there are some studies out there, or one study in particular said our incomes improve, black folks' income improve much better under Democrats than do Republicans. Now, guess how much you say income improve under Republicans over the course of a year? $142. And they wanted to say, the study said, we do much better under Democrats. Well, Guess how much they say our incomes improve under Democrats over the course of a year? $895. Now, divide both of those by 12. Now, add in taxes. Now, the people who did this study were trying to show that blacks fare better when Democrats are in charge. See, that's not real growth under whatever metric you want to use. Neither of those numbers are good. But I do know this, and I did a video some years ago. Black unemployment is lower under Republicans. Full-time employment. See, the one metric that Democrat-friendly metrics love to use is a person loses a full-time job and enters the workforce again with a part-time job. It's considered growth under Democrats. They playing us like a rapper King T say. They playing us like a funky piano. But see, that's not true measurements. I'll talk to you later.